Welcome to It's Like This podcast, your common sense mental and spiritual talk show. My name is Dr. Eugene Kim, a dual board certified psychiatrist from Texas. In this podcast, I explain mental and spiritual concepts with fun analogies, real stories, and positive message so you can not just survive, but thrive. My goal for you is to gain understanding, acceptance, and healing so that you can know your worth and live the life that you are meant to live. If you want that as much as I do, hit that subscribe button and let's listen to today's episode. Today we have a powerful duo as our guests to It's Like This podcast. Mark and Adena Delaney are on a relentless pursuit of one thing, helping people clarify their purpose and be set free to live it out boldly. For the last 30 years, they have been in the business of helping people understand how to pursue their best, bold life. 3 years ago, they created a program called the Purpose Mastermind. This 8-week experience guides people through a process of transformation that enables them to move beyond what used to hold them back in life and chase after purpose, freedom, and love. So I personally met Mark and Adena through a mutual friend and got to experience their expertise in finding your purpose. So there was a lot of overlap of interest and passion when we were discussing about life. And mental health has a bio, psycho, social, and spiritual aspect. Knowing your purpose in life would fall under the spiritual aspect of life. Knowing your purpose, your meaning, your worth, all of that. Mark and Adena and I are going to talk about what knowing your purpose is and is not, and what that journey might look like for you. So let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to It's Like This podcast. This is Dr. Kim, and we have a special guest, plural. We have two guests in this episode, and is Adena and Mark Delaney, and they created this course called Purpose Mastermind, and it contains 8 conversations, 8 experiences to really lead you to knowing your purpose. Mark and Adena, welcome.
Why, thanks.
Thank you
for having us.
Yeah. So I know that I talked about Purpose Mastermind, but just tell me a little bit about yourselves and what you guys do and what you guys up to.
Well, we are empty nesters, although a month ago we received our first 2 grandbabies.
Congratulations.
Loving that.
Both of our daughter-in-laws, back-to-back days. So now we are grandparents. We are on the relentless pursuit of helping people know their purpose. That is pretty much all that we are. We eat, drink, and live and pursue that mission pretty much with everything we do. And we do like to have fun.
We'd like to go play Frisbee golf and, just get outdoors and enjoy time together. It's really important to unplug the way that life is so fast paced. And so we try to be intentional about that. And one of our favorite ways is, just let's go out and just enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah, Frisbee golf and then an acai bowl.
Yes.
If we get that once a week, we pretty much have everything.
Yeah.
We have it made.
Yes, that is it. You can go to Hawaii if you want. I want to go down the street and play disc golf with my wife and get an acai bowl.
Yeah, that's a simple and good life.
And before we get the bowl, though, inside of this store we go to, this restaurant, they have an old Miss Pac-Man game.
Oh, yeah.
So round of Miss Pac-Man while we wait on the acai bowl to be made.
That's a perfect setup. I'm really glad that you guys figured out your purpose in life.
That
is. If it was only that easy and simple. I love it.
Yes. If you're not happy, Frisbee golf, acai bowls, and Miss Pac-Man, there is nothing else.
Yeah. And I mentioned that purpose is you guys are describing what makes you content and happy. So simple, right? Like acai bowl, ultimate Frisbee, Miss Pac-Man. But a lot of people, when they think about what is the purpose of my life, they don't think, and it doesn't come off very simple, and I know that you guys are living and breathing and helping people find purpose. So how did this all start for you? Like, did you were you born and you knew your purpose? Like, what was your journey of like this like craziness and obsession about purpose?
I think the greatest gift that any person has for the world is that we face our own mess. And when we face our own mess, what comes out of it is a gift for our life, and more importantly, a gift for other people. I think that's like a universal human quality. None of us are very different. Like a human is a human. And so most of everything that we do has come out of our life. It came from, a lot of it came because we face the mess of our life. Many people, let's face it, and I did this for a long time, we live our life trying to run away from our messes or hide our messes.
Or compensate for our messes.
Yes. It's in facing them that we find the gold mine of our life. And I use the word facing on purpose because as I look at my life, I never fixed myself. I just faced myself. And in the facing of it, like we're all still messed up. Like the human is never like, okay, I'm perfected. I'm going to go live bold now. Probably the biggest lessons that we help people with, we are so bold about because we've experienced it in our own life. We're not talking about something we read in a book. It's something that we have lived and experienced with our own life, and we see other people experiencing the same sort of thing. And so we just keep doing it. And so
we see how much people get to change their own life and how they experience life. I kind of call it like a heart experience. It's like, what is my heart experiencing while I'm living life this way? What is my heart experiencing while I'm making this kind of a choice? And, I'm done with trying to be perfect and get my value from what I do. It's like, that's the way I was ingrained and I chased for so many years of my life. I mean, but then when I found that there's a whole different way that my heart can experience life, and it's with freedom, there's peace, there's joy, there's great love. I mean, like, I'm not going back to the old way. And since we found it, we don't live selfish in any way. And we want whatever we've found for other people to have it too. Because how many people out there need to have less anxiety and more peace, or, less of a prison of something that's holding them back, or more freedom. And so we are just so passionate about just helping other people experience this so that this can be their life too.
Yeah.
Because people don't know how to do things. They need to be shown how. Our brains are not the only thing that need to grow. Like we need to have something to help us to, something mental and academic and intellectual to help us to understand something. But even after we know this is true, this is important, I believe it, this would make my life better, people get stuck there. They're like, but what does that look like?
How do I do it? I have a friend of mine. He's what I call a frustrating friend because I want us to have a good argument together because there's some things I want to say to him. And he's a leader and he's a coach and he's a speaker. And he boldly tells people, just stop quitting. And he's so right. But there's one little problem. People don't know how to stop quitting. We don't know how to. And it's so easy in a world full of information. And most information says, here's what you need to do. And we all know that. We all know it. It's like, yes, but how? How do I become the person that will do this thing that needs to be done? That is the secret sauce, I believe, in helping people, is how do you help the person be so that they then do? A lot of help just tells people, you need to do this. You need to go to the gym and eat better. Well, they knew that before the conversation. But how does someone become the human that has an internal change that causes them to then do something externally that's different?
So I'm
Usually the
thinking,
conversation.
oh, go ahead, go.
I was just going to say, most of the conversation is usually stuck in the external, but internally we're still locked in the prison of not being able to do that external thing that we need to do.
Yeah.
And it's a trap.
And, you know, I'm picking up themes here and I'm writing down notes as I'm nodding along because, you know, a few things. It's like, I think the foundational truth is that we're all human. We're all messed up. We're all insecure. We're all broken. And I think
And we're all awesome.
and
At the
awesome.
same time. At
Right,
the same time.
Yeah, the humanness, I think, is so complex and beautiful and broken and inspiring all at the same time, you know, and we all embody that potential of that, you know, but there's two ways of approaching it. Number one is to fix it. And number two is to face it. And I think when you're trying to fix this beautiful, broken humanness, the list never ends because that was never the quote unquote purpose of it, anyways, right? So you're talking about diets, you know, books, you know, 7 effective habits, or all these do's to fix our beautiful humanness. But now you're saying, quit doing that and start facing it, which is I think the heart of Purpose Mastermind. Did I get that right? You're nodding and shaking your fist in the air, so I'm guessing that I'm hitting the points.
Yes, I have goosebumps, and I want to run through a brick wall right now because that fires me up. Because I know the trap I used to live in. I lived inside of an imaginary prison, which, by the way, is the worst kind of all. Because you can feel the impact of those bars on your life, but you can't see them. And you can't get out of them. But the good news is that getting out of that prison is much easier than people can possibly imagine. I know what it's like to live my life trying to fix me. And once I'm fixed, then I can be me. And so for me, weight was a big deal for so long. And so for me to basically, here's how I live my life. I want to do something with my life. I want to live bold. I want to live free. I want to make a difference. And as soon as I lose weight, I can do that. Well, at the end of every day, you look at yourself and you're like, I'm not there. And the frustration of that, it makes you go back to your comfort, which is cookies and chips and whatever. And so then you go to bed at night thinking, okay, tomorrow's going to be different. And so you wake up, think about this. I lived this way for so many years. I woke up every day and the goal was to lose weight. That's not purpose. There is zero power in waking up and thinking, I need to fix me. The beautiful thing is, when I stopped trying to fix me, I focused on being me. And that changed me, like going and living my life boldly while I faced my mess was so much freedom. And I found out, wait a second, I don't need to lose a pound to go live out my purpose. The more I lived my purpose, I lost weight. The human instinct is, I got to lose weight first, and then I live my purpose. So this is why the focus of our work is we tell people come to us with marriage problems and addictions and depression, and we tell them we're not going to talk about it. We definitely want to help them attack that, but we believe that people best attack that with the power of living out their purpose. Waking up to fix oneself has no power. There's just no power. And I know the difference. And so the Purpose Mastermind is so much about just telling people they can walk out of the prison cell of how they think about themselves and how they think about their life. And it's a funny thing. When people get out of prison, they act different.
You know, there was this young lady that I did the Purpose Mastermind with. And when we started, she literally almost didn't even want to come have a conversation because in her life, the way her normal it was, she had an older elementary student, maybe fifth or sixth grade, and then she had like two that were younger, maybe 4 and 6. She lived and did not have a desire to get out of bed. Her husband was trying to be encouraging as he's getting up, getting ready for work. He's like, hey, come on, get up, honey. And what are you looking forward to today? And she even said he was doing a fantastic job trying to motivate her, but she literally had no desire to get up and care for her children, which that's, those kiddos, they need someone to help take care of them.
Yeah.
And so when she doesn't even have a desire to get out of bed, there needs to be something in her that gets to bring her back to life again. And when that happens, then it'll impact every area of her life. And it was even after just a few conversations starting into the Purpose Mastermind. And I love how you called it an experience, because this isn't like teaching your brain something like I was talking about. It's like helping your heart to understand the truth that your mind believes and showing you what that looks like in your real life, your real time today.
Yeah.
And so after just a couple of conversations, she started changing and she started having more of a desire to actually live life and to get up and participate in what was going on. By the end of 8 weeks, it's roughly 2 months. That's not much time. But within about 2 months, she now is motivated to get up. She wants to get after it, whatever it is she needs to do with the kids. And she's even deciding she wants to go to a friend's house and she wants to help them because they're not motivated. And she wants to help them because now she's got something in her that brought her back to life and she can't not share it. And so now she's not just living and having her life within herself, but now her family's enjoying it and extensions beyond that.
I want to just kind of pitch in a little bit of, mental health, because what you just described of how the lady was doing before could be very similar to clinical depression, not wanting to get out of bed and, not functioning well, right? Like it's pretty severe symptoms of depression. And just to kind of step out, when we look at biopsychosocial spiritual model, mental health is component of all of that. But what we are talking about, and if listeners can imagine, biosocial psychosocial model is kind of like 3 Venn diagram. It's like a triangle. But I imagine that spiritual circle is like encompassing all of that. So knowing your purpose is actually component of spiritual, components of mental health. And what you're describing is she was so down, but by tweaking the distorted thinkings and maybe cultural habits, related to her purpose, that really lessened or eradicated symptoms of depression. And I just want to kind of pitch in how powerful knowing your purpose is to mental health, because it can work synergistically and as a teamwork, and it can really get you out of bed without a medication, and I'm not against medication. I prescribe medication, but I think I want to emphasize the importance of spiritual knowing your purpose in that. And you guys are doing that.
I think if life is a journey and it's climbing a mountain, I think it's a struggle for everybody. Mm-hmm. But you have some people that are climbing the mountain and they don't know why. And so the journey, it's very easy to lose heart. Why am I doing this? It's hard. There's storms, there's rocks, there's sticker bushes, there's all kinds of problems. When people have purpose, they have a reason for what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And when you have a reason to climb that mountain and you believe you're going somewhere important, obstacles are okay. And you face them because you have a reason to face them. Mm. But if my life has no reason, and I'm like, oh, here's another steep part I have to climb. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
It's very easy to just go off in the bushes somewhere and just like look for some comfort. Something is like, why am I doing this? It has no purpose. If there's no purpose on that journey, it's almost climbing the mountain with no water. Mm. You become depleted.
Yeah.
And so then I think purpose becomes like the water for our life. It's something that is so foundational and so critical to everything that we do that it gives us it prevents us from becoming depleted. If I am dying of thirst on that mountain, and then I come across a steep part, I might think that the problem was the steep part. No, it wasn't. The problem was I was depleted of water when I got to the steep part.
Yeah.
And so the steep part isn't the problem. It's the depleted part that's the problem.
Yeah.
And so I think purpose is like water for the journey of our life.
And I also think that if you know your purpose in climbing uphill, every pain and obstacle actually become meaningful. Like you
So
know
good.
the meaning behind it because you know your purpose and you're like, okay, another hill, I got this. Because climbing that hill, there's pain and, setbacks and, whatever, but that pain is going to get you that much closer to your purpose.
Purpose brings a point to your pain.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You're so right. When you're climbing that mountain with purpose, when you come across struggle, you look at it and think, oh, this is just the next thing that's going to make me stronger for my purpose. This is just making me better.
Mm.
But if I don't have purpose, everything that comes along is like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And we look at struggles in life and say, what's the point of this struggle? But the real problem is inside of us, we're wondering, what's the point of me?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to know the point of me and my existence. That's what purpose is about.
Yeah.
And so kind of backtracking, a lot of people in this world will tell you, you will get what you want if you fix your problems, right? Like diet, sleep, exercise, job, climbing the social ladder, making friends, getting the likes. And all of these to-dos, right? They're so popular. And you know what I was thinking, because the episode that just launched today was intuitive eating and keto, Whole30, intermittent fasting. There's just, even in just the diet culture, there's just so many to-dos, like 10 things you need to do. And I think we're like secretly and not so secretly desperate and so dependent. And we just love to be told what to do to fix our problems. And why, and this is like a loaded question, but why do you think this world is like that?
I think it's a lack of knowledge. I also think it's just human pride.
Mm.
We were talking to couples last night about parenting. And I said, here's the biggest asset to your parenting is that you as parents are willing to face your own mess and live your best bold life. But and that should be good news. It should be good news because that's a lot better than telling people, hey, if you want to be good parents, you need to figure out all these things that you need to do with your kids. All these things you need to do to block out dangerous things. Mm-hmm. All these things you need to do to protect them. Mm-hmm. We almost instinctively want that list, even though that list would have would have 2,000 things on it, and nobody has time for it.
No.
So the really good news we told them is the best thing you can do for your kids is live your best bold life. But there's something really bad about that. Nobody wants to face themselves. Tell me something to do.
Yep.
Don't tell me I need to look
right.
in the mirror.
That's why it's so popular.
Don't let me, yes. Mm-hmm. Because if I go buy a diet book, I'm doing something impressive. But if I do something like be honest about me, that's not impressive and it's hard.
Because we can blame the diet book or the source of what we're, looking for, that to-do list. We can blame that, and now it's no longer us. Mm-hmm. We're deflecting.
And I think you mentioned pride, and that is so true. I think there's a few components here because we're trying to get like more abstract. I think the society is so judgmental, and we naturally have to defend our worth to the society, so then you're saying there's pride mixed up in that because it's like, if I need to prove that I'm a good person, then I need to be skinnier, smarter, more successful, XYZ. That's why we focus so much on the do's naturally. And I think That was kind of my depression breakdown, podcast episode, because it's like, what's your worth? And we're always constantly getting measured, you know? But the pride and maybe survival pride, you know, our pride needs to survive somehow. So it's like, it just becomes this ugly, hot mess of trying to prove ourselves by doing more, knowing more, talking more, that just endless cycle of ugliness.
Our pride gives us a false answer to every human problem. And pride gives us a fast answer to every human problem.
Yeah.
Fast answer. Just do this. And we're like, good. 5 minutes later, we walk away and we're like, oh, wait, I won't do that.
Yeah.
Because I won't do that.
Yeah. And sometimes those fast answers work temporarily. So then you get that high of like, oh, I lost a pound. Like, let's do this. Like, it's working. And then at the end of it all, it's like, it never works. It never satisfies.
Yeah. Yeah. People need this thing called freedom. All humans need this thing called freedom. And the Purpose Mastermind, it is absolutely, the goal at the end is that people know their purpose in one sentence. Because when we stop wondering why we exist, then we can boldly live and stop having this thought run through our head. Am I living in the right place? Am I working in the right job? Am I married to the right person? Am I living the right life? Like, know your purpose and just go live it. But the secret sauce throughout the 8 weeks is helping people be set free from the mindsets that's holding them back from being able to live out that purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the freedom component.
Yeah. And I think you guys and I like really click, because adding more information, adding more to do is not going to solve a single thing on earth. And it's like, let's get back into the basics, like understanding ourselves. So you mentioned freedom, which is also my favorite word, in what I do. And so instead of fixing our humanness, the Purpose Mastermind takes you into 8 conversations to face our problems and our humanness. So can you explain the conceptual ideas behind the 8 conversations?
Yeah, the first 4, we kind of take people to begin with into the middle of a wilderness. So life, you're dropped off in the wilderness. And in that wilderness, it's full of opportunity. Like every tree has shiny objects from it that say, become this, get that job, accomplish this thing, go to this place. And if you get that, then you'll be happy. And so you go to a tree and you try something, you're like, well, that didn't satisfy me. You try a different tree, well, that didn't satisfy me. And you let go from tree to tree, climbing the trees. There's thousands of trees. And then at some point you're like, wait a second. I don't even think I know where I'm going in this wilderness. Where am I going? I have to know where I'm going. And I'm limited on water, limited on beef jerky. I'm limited on time. And you get to a certain point, you're like, I don't know if I'm going in the right direction. And I think we're all looking for the same core things, like fulfillment. Wherever I'm journeying at in life, if I have fulfillment, the journey's good. I'll also say this. It doesn't matter where you journey in life. Without fulfillment, life's not good. I don't care if someone's living in a mansion. I don't care how much fame someone has. If someone doesn't have fulfillment, they're empty. But we all know this, there's humans that live with nothing. There's countries where people, they wake up and all they have is like a hut and some water that is only somewhat clean. And yet they have a sense of happiness and fulfillment. So we're all searching for fulfillment. So in the mastermind, we basically help people get out of the wilderness and onto a path in the wilderness. Because on the path, the journey is very different. In the middle of the wilderness, I don't know where I'm going, if I'm going the right way. On the path, you're like, oh, I'm on the path, I'm going this way. That takes a load of anxiety off of the journey. And then the last half of the mastermind is all about how do you think as a person to stay on that dirt path? Because that dirt path represents living your life on purpose, living your life boldly, and living your life with freedom. So that's the basics of it.
I like that you said wilderness, because I'm kind of picturing when you go to the wilderness, you don't have the worries and expectations of, the city, so it sounds like it's kind of like pruning all these expectations and goals, that was kind of put on your lap, by the society or by yourself. And you're pruning that as you're searching for purpose. Is that kind of what you guys imagine?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, along the journey, you definitely have to decide. You have to be honest. You have to take a step back from whatever is hot in the moment, and you need to pause and take a step back. And just it's usually pretty evident that there's something that you need to prune. Like there's something you've believed all your life, and you believed it is true. I mean, I have done that tons of time in life, because of an experience, because of a relationship, because of culture. You believe something to be true, but it comes with this weight that I have found it is not sustainable or attainable, like performance and perfection. You can't keep that up. At some point, you just melt. And so if you prune that, no, I don't have to chase perfection. Some people can't even get ready to even prune that because they're holding on for desperation that perfection is going to be, give them value. So there's a lot to work through. So this is a big conversation said very simply, but you'll find that there'll be something you need to prune. And then inevitably there'll be something that it will be powerful that you can chase. And it helps you, that pruning and chasing experience, it's the difference between invisible prisons and freedom.
Yeah. Using the wilderness as a metaphor, it's like people think they're supposed to climb the trees. And you never had to climb a tree. It's exhausting to live your life going tree to tree, trying to climb it to see if that's your destiny. If I get this job and I climb to the top of it, then I've arrived. But you get to the top of the tree and all you find is flimsy branches that can't hold you up. You're like, I've been doing all this for this? I climbed this whole tree for this? And this happens with anyone who climbs the tree. It's exhausting. We weren't made to climb trees. We're made for the path of purpose. And the trees aren't all evil, certainly. And on the path, you reach over and you grab something that's hanging from a tree and use it for your purpose. But we weren't meant to climb the trees and hang on for dear life. We're on this powerful journey on a path of purpose. That's what we're made for.
When I was in medical school, I guess if you want to be a doctor, you have to get to medical school to even get the MD, and in medical school, it's just like crazy studying and all that burnt out hours. And then there was a moment as an intern of residency that all the residents look at each other and be like, we got here for this, we worked so hard. We gave up so much opportunity cost of earning potential, all that stuff for this. And there's that, I think I'm using physician because I'm a physician. All the physicians have the point of like, this is not worth it, and I think COVID proved that, like the burnout rates. And I think I was just kind of thinking when you're talking about it, it's like Apostle Paul saying, I got all the credentials and they're nothing, compared to knowing his purpose, and I just kind of felt like, let me just save you guys some time, I've achieved it all and it's all a waste. And I almost kind of heard that plea from Purpose Mastermind is like, yeah, you can be the most successful CEO, but one with a purpose is content and one without purpose is miserable.
Yeah, the journey is completely different. I mean, we tend to accept the pressures that life puts on us, and the emotions that we have to manage because of that just are a huge weight. Over time, it affects us all differently. And that weight, if we don't allow ourselves to get to a place where we honestly say it's too much, Or is this all there is?
Yeah.
If we don't allow ourselves the freedom to be honest right there, we won't ever even consider that there's another way to do it. We just think this is all that life is going to be. And wow, you know, and you're not happy that that's where it's at. And then that's, you know, then you have to compensate, and it gets even messier if you get discouraged and you don't find another option. But the weight that we carry on with our emotions, our hearts, we weren't created to handle all of that. We need peace to survive. So how do we get real peace that we can have every day, no matter what's going on in our world, no matter what's going on in our relationships? You know, we want to give people hope that it's possible, because at one point in our life, you know, the reason why we do this is because we walked through it. At one point in our life, we were those people that were like, well, I guess this is all that we get. You know, I guess this is as good as it's going to be. So, okay, let's be happy. And, you know, we do have a lot and thankful for what we have. But we were so limited, and our experience was not full of enjoyment. And we were created to enjoy life and to be the best version of ourselves, and to give the best version of ourselves, and to have a community where that's happening. And that's where life is really going to be completely different than what most people experience.
Yeah.
We're all desperate to live our life like we're all in. Like, I want to be all in with life. I don't want to be on the sideline, wondering if I'm doing what I should be doing, wondering where my greatness is, where's my contribution. The longer that a person kind of sits on that sideline or living in that wilderness, like, where's my tree that I climb that proves my value? Where's the tree that proves my greatness? And we look outside of us. We can look outside of us for a lifetime. And I'm so driven, because I heard a story one time of a man who sat beside the hospital bed of his dad who was dying. And his dad said, I finally figured out what life's about and why I'm here, but now it's time to say goodbye. I'm so driven that people can stop looking at all the trees and wondering which one they're supposed to climb. And instead, they can be on the path and realize the tree is not what makes them great. The fact that they are the design and creation of God, the greatness is inside of them. And they can go give it with their life. Instead of spending their life looking for something great outside of them, they can give that something great that's inside of them. And to help people just stop the endless search in the wilderness and be on a dirt path and do snow angels in the dirt and be like, I'm living my life. I'm living it boldly, no matter the location, no matter the occupation, no matter the talent. To know that you're giving your best shot at life is so liberating. You sleep so well. It's like, I gave my all to life today, and tomorrow I get to do it again.
I love that. I think I started to sleep better the more that I, you know, progress in knowing my purpose. And it sounds like, and I'm just kind of mirroring what you're saying, is like, instead of us looking for that compartments of life, like, is it my job? Is it my relationship? It's just like, bring all that effort 100% to knowing the greatness that's within you. And so no matter what job you have, no matter what relationship you have, or no matter what situation or illnesses you have, that will never be shaken away, because you understand your greatness that's like stored in you, like already, you know, so that you can kind of explore it and face it.
And you give it in all that you do. It's not, okay, I'm at work, I have purpose. And then everywhere else, you're just existing. What am I? Like, no, your purpose is like, it's how you show up in everything with everyone all the time. So you're always playing, you're always in the game. You're always on the field, participating, giving, celebrating, being with people, giving yourself, instead of always wondering, when do I get to play the game of life? People must be in. I think this is why things like opioids are so rampant, is because it is a way to at least feel like you want to feel.
Oh, yeah.
And I just talked to a 26-year-old man the other day, and he has to take drugs and he drinks because he's trying to survive every day because he's just dragging himself through life. And he told me, he said, I remember how I felt when I played hockey. He played hockey from age 5 to 22. And he talked about that feeling he had when he was nose to nose with a competitor and there was that hockey puck between them. And he said, that feeling. He said, I'm so desperate for that feeling. But he said, I know I can't have it anymore. I said to him, I said, brother, I have it right now. I'm a 51-year-old man. And I'm just a guy. I don't have anything. I was never good at a sport. I've never done anything that people say, wow, you did that. Like, I live with that feeling, and you can have that feeling too. But people give up on the belief that they can have that feeling. And so we just go to the counterfeits. If I take this drug, if I drink, if I indulge in whatever substance, if I just find the next show to watch on TV that excites me, and maybe for a middle-aged man, it's an affair, that'll make me feel alive again. Human beings are desperate to feel like they're in the game. And that is a good notion that we have. Because every one of us, our life is so important. Every one of us within us has capability of changing other people's lives with some very common gifts that we have. But when we give up on the thought that my life can make a difference, because we don't know how to, we have no choice but to go to some counterfeit substance to give us some kind of feeling of being alive.
I think the fact that we want to be alive and be fully present and give our all to life is such a powerful momentum, and it's a sign that we're alive, you know. But in this society of fix it, we can't survive. And I'm kind of like, when you were listing off, I was like, been there, you know, done that. I was that person, you know. And it is easy, and I think it's easy to, maybe in the fix it society, to judge, oh my, like they're having an affair, oh my, you know, they're having addiction problem. But that's the fix it society. But when you're facing it, you're like, okay, come on, you know, like, I know that's a cheap chase right now. I know that that's giving you signs and feelings that you're alive, but here's something better. Like, here's the real thing. So you mentioned first 4 conversation is kind of leading them to the wilderness. And I'm just like itching to like talk about the second 4, you know, because I'm sure the audience is like, okay, like you built this up. Okay, like, how do I find my purpose? So can you tell me about the second half of the conversation?
We'll tell you some. The second half of the conversation, you see, when people's lives, most people don't need to live a different life. They need to think differently about the life they're living. When you think different about the life you're living, your life might then change. But it's not your life that changed, it's your thinking that changed.
Yeah.
And thinking changes the results.
Right.
So the first half of the mindset of the mastermind is getting rid of mindsets that commonly keep people lost in the wilderness. The last half are these mindsets that if you think this way, you'll stay on this dirt path and live this bold and free life. Because the person that lives in a prison or in the bushes thinks different than the person who lives on the path. And so the second half of the mastermind is practicing and learning these mindsets that enable you to boldly stay on that dirt path, living out your purpose, instead of wandering back out into the wilderness and being lost. So that's a tease about what it's about.
That is a tease. And that is a tease because, and I liked how, and I just wanted to recap, I think it's a clear theme here. Freedom doesn't come from lists of to-dos. Never.
Right.
Freedom and living your life boldly and purpose will never be accomplished by achieving many goals, many successes in, health or job or relationship. It'll never come from compartments of life. Purpose is coming from changing your mindset about an attitude and perspective about how you think about yourself.
Yes.
Is that a good summary?
Yeah, no, that's good. And the freedom thing, which I'm with you, it's a great word. It's everything. There's a reason why there's so many movies with that component.
Yeah.
It's because that's what the human heart wants. We all want freedom, and we should. Freedom changes your life. You do not change your life to get freedom. You don't get skinny and then become free. You just don't. I tried for 30 years or
so
longer.
Did I.
You can't do it. With freedom comes life change, but human thinking is, oh, I want freedom. What do I need to do?
Our focus is way too heavy on the do. And once you let go of that, some people are like, oh, if I let go of the do, then I'm going to fail at everything. I'm never going to measure up. I'm going to my boss will never like what I'm doing at the job. My family will. Like, they keep thinking that that's going to derail their whole life. But really, it's just about thinking differently about the do, because that's not what is going to, we over focus on it. We study our do, we study what we've done, we overstudy, overthink, we park our emotions there, and we are held hostage by focusing and over-focusing.
Yep.
It's because we thought that our self-worth and freedom was something to be earned, but we already had it.
Yep.
And because we instinctively need to have value, and we've told ourselves, where that value is found, then it's like we just have to have a relentless pursuit. We're just here to show people that there's a way that it can give you a healthy chase and not one that comes with a huge weight.
Yeah. Man. And I was just going to add something to that, because sometimes we chase after the things that are hardest to get. Because if we get that, then we think maybe that's the ultimate, level of success. And I say, that's what we always chased after bad guys and bad girls, because they never quite validate us, but just gave us the tease all the time. And that's what we have that in our heart, to go after the hardest things and bend over backwards and sacrifice so many things for that. But what a waste when you have that validation and value already.
What if we go after the greatest thing instead? The greatest thing of every day. I have a purpose and I'm going to chase it today. And with that in that great pursuit, have a boldness to say, this problem in my life, it's holding me back from my purpose. I'm going to face it because that makes me better for my purpose. It doesn't prevent me from my purpose. It makes me better for my purpose if I simply face it.
Yeah.
No different than Clark Kent, who wakes up to put his cape on. He knows there's kryptonite. But for many people, they think, well, there's kryptonite, so I can't wear my cape. Well, there will always be kryptonite. What the human being can do is be honest about kryptonite in their life, but put their cape on. And I would say this, because there is kryptonite everywhere, it's everywhere for all of us. It's all the more important that we put on our cape of purpose. I think the only way we overcome kryptonite is by living out the life we were made to live. To wake up and say, I'm going to remove kryptonite from my life. Well, that day's going to stink and you're going to fail because you cannot remove all the kryptonite from your life. But you can chase your purpose, and that gives you power over the kryptonite.
Man, I hope, and I know that the listeners are going to listen to this and I just hope that this episode was like a pause button of life, and in 40 to 50 minutes of listening to this, and just kind of look back into am I chasing the do's? Am I trying to fix my problem? Or am I trying to face it and or like enjoy the greatness and the self-worth that's in me? And I hope that this was just a pause button for our listeners today. And, I always enjoy talking with you guys, personally, and especially thank you for coming to this podcast. I know we said a lot of good like nuggets here and there, but if you can like have like a last message, one for Mark and one from Adena, like what would you want our listeners to know?
I would say very simply, no matter where you are right now and where you've been, you have a purpose, and you can know that purpose. I'm going to say it again. You can know your purpose, and you can be set free from anything that holds you back from living it out boldly. And the more you sit there today and you're like, well, there's so much against me. I tell you, the more that is against you, the more capability you have to live your purpose boldly if you change how you think. Some of the greatest, I just came back yesterday from a prison where I meet with some men. These men are in prison, and these 12 men that I met with are the most free people I know. Life can feel like it puts us in a prison, and we think we have to remove the prison. The reality is we need to think differently about our life, and we walk out of the prison, and we have so much to offer people. So that's my message I would give.
Mm-hmm. And mine's going to be that we all need to have value, and because we are chasing that every day, and we do all sorts of things to chase it, from, the clothes we wear to, what image we present, and to what we chase and the accomplishments that we're trying to accomplish. But the value that you're chasing inside of you is causing a lot of strain on a lot of hearts. And I really love focusing on my heart experience as I go through different things in life. And I have found that when my heart is not experiencing freedom, but it's experiencing fear or pain or, other things, I can face that. And I want to face it in a way where my heart gets to have a safe place to be honest about that. And then when I do that, it gives me a different way to approach whatever's happening. And then I get to have more choices. Where I thought I was just forced into a certain direction because of whatever my mind thought. When I do this, my heart experience is guiding me. And it's like, you know what? I was created to have peace. I was created for that peace, to be able to help my gift to be able to be the best version it could possibly be. And the world needs it. And I really want to give it. And I know that, so to every person who's listening, you have value. And everything that you want to chase with that value, you can. There is a way that you can bring out the very best version of yourself and offer it to the people around you. And that is such a great experience for you. When you give what you have that's special and other people enjoy it, you can do that.
Yeah. And I think that reminds us that even after knowing your purpose, life doesn't get easy, but there's meaning and purpose behind, the pain and difficulties. And that's what, it just makes it more beautiful and complete.
So true. Well said. Well said.
So I hope that this was enough hope and tease into Purpose Mastermind course. So Mark and Adena, if anyone is interested in getting to know more about you guys or what you can offer, because I believe that Purpose Mastermind is not the only course that you offer. So there's a lot of different things that you offer. So how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, markdelaney.com is the website. And you can email mark@markdelaney.me.
Or you can email Adena, Adena, at adena@markdelaney.me.
Yeah, and I'll put all that link in the description box. Man, I hope that this episode was a pause button in our busy lives, just to know that you have purpose and you have value and you have something to offer to the world that is very unique to your set of strengths and gifts. And Mark and Adena, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day. I hope you enjoyed our discussion today on finding your purpose. So in summary, it's like this. Finding your purpose is not getting it together or working on your problems. It's a series of steps that we take in life that is aligned with your purpose. Knowing your purpose will give you perspective on flaws, pains, and obstacles in your life and make them all worth it. Maybe this discussion intrigued you enough to step back from this crazy daily routines to ask yourself, where am I going? Who do I want to be? And if you want to reach out to Mark and Adena, I have their contact in the description box. If you want to reach out to me to discuss this and also mental health questions, email me at restoropsychiatrymd@gmail.com. Again, thank you guys so much for enjoying our discussion together. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so that you can listen to the newest episode as it's fresh off the press. And if you really enjoyed the work that we're doing, and if you want to kind of spread further, then please leave a review and what this podcast meant for you. That will help me out so much. Have a great day, guys.